Welcome back, friends, to the shop. We are in the clutches of a major winter storm, and I thought, what better way to spend the day than to come out to the wood shop? And being a YouTube creator, it is a treadmill, so I feel like a modern-day Sisyphus sometimes. You got to keep the content rolling. So this is number one. We're going to do 3 videos of a row of putting together the common man's toolkit for basic all-around tools. Now, today's kit is going to be 20 tools to get started. Now, let's say, for example, that you've just moved out of your parents' house. You're a young guy getting started, or maybe you don't have a good collection. It's going to be the way you acquire tools and the way you put together a good set is in stages. I broke this into 3 stages. So this is going to be, everything fits in this box. Not only does it fit in the box, it barely makes a dent in this box, but with 20 tools kind of geared towards the apartment or condo dweller. You want to be able to have a well-rounded set of tools or you can solve any problem. Funny story, I had a good friend that grew up in the country, was a very hands-on guy, really handy guy. He wanted to be an actor and he moved down to Hollywood. And he took his tools, you know, and took his skills down there that he had that was just kind of commonplace where we grew up. And he told me down in Hollywood he was like a god. He said that his friends and the men down there had absolutely nothing. They couldn't do basic repairs. They couldn't fix anything. He said that he had all the women he could possibly want because women want men that can take care of business. Women want men that have skills and capabilities, not men that wax their chests, not men that shave their legs or wear the latest trends. Women want men that are capable and can do things and can take care of a family. I don't care what anyone tells you, it's the truth. So let's get into it. So these are going to be, this is stage 1 of 3 stages of putting together your kit. And as I said, about 20 things. So let's jump into it. I'm going to get into specific tools. Now, when you're buying your tools, buy the best you can afford. Hammer, for example, if you buy a hammer and you buy the very best hammer you can buy, that's a lifetime tool. You're never going to have to buy that again. And ultimately, you're going to save money. If you buy cheap hammers and you buy them 3, 4, 5 over a course of a lifetime, you're not saving any money and you're also not having a very good user experience using these poor quality tools. So when I'm showing you these things, get the very best that you can. All right, so number 1, I think it's 20, it's somewhere around there. Number 1, you need a saw. So I would recommend, if I could only have one saw, it would be this one. This is the Japanese saw. This is the Gaikoucho Japanese pole saw. Now the difference between the Japanese saws and the American saws is the Japanese saws, of course, they cut on the pole, where the American saws cut on the push. So this particular one that I like, and I'll put links to these down in the description as well. I like this because you've got a cross-cut tooth pattern and you've got a ripping tooth pattern. And what that means is that you can cut with the grain or against it. So essentially you get 2 saws in one. And one of your first projects would be a really good thing for you to do is to build yourself a nice little wood sheath for this to protect the teeth. But this is number 1. You want a good all-around multi-purpose saw. Oh, number 2, a hammer. You know, I almost have a hammer fetish. I did a video where I was culling some of my hammers and I had, good grief, I had a bunch of them. So I asked myself, if you had to get rid of all of them, which one would you choose? And my very favorite hammer I've ever used is this hammer right here. This is a Stiletto Titanium, Ruger Titanium, 14 ounce. Now, I don't know if these are still being made. I'll do a little research on this, but I absolutely love this hammer. You know, do you need a big framing hammer like this? Well, what I find is I don't use finish hammers. I don't use any other hammer than this one. I use it for everything. It is a lifetime hammer. It's got a wood handle. It's going to be very nice to use. If you have to use it for extended period of time, it's going to be comfortable. It's not going to give you the tennis elbow. It's just a beautifully designed hammer. Expensive? Yes. But are you ever going to have to buy another one? Probably not if you take care of it. So my very favorite hammer for all around general purpose is this one right here, is the Stiletto Ruger. All right, what do we got next here? Screwdrivers. You're going to need 2 screwdrivers. You're going to need a number 2 Phillips and you're going to use a regular standard slotted. I would just go ahead and buy yourself electrician screwdrivers. Electrician screwdrivers, these are ideals. These have been pretty good. I like these because they've got the insulation on them. So ultimately, eventually you're going to be doing some electrical work. You're going to have to be replacing plugs or different things, and it can be used for anything. You can use this to tighten anything you want to. It doesn't have to be just for electrical, but if you do need it for electrical, you have it, and you don't have to buy multiples. I just haven't found the need. What I've found is I've put these two guys in my tool bags, and I just don't use anything else. Right here you can see it on the back. The other nice thing about them is that they identify which one's which. So when they're sitting in your tool belt, you can look down and see, I need the regular, I need the Phillips. And I've really liked these Ideals. They've been really tough and durable, and I feel good about doing, poking around electrical stuff to have that insulation on there. So 2 screwdrivers, a number 2 Phillips and a standard. You're going to want a tape measure. I would recommend you go with, here's how you tell who makes the best tape measure. So if you go to Home Depot or you go to Lowe's or you go to your lumber yard, the main thing is standout length. How far will the thing go out? And so when I just bought this tape measure. This is the first DeWalt that I've ever bought at Home Depot. I was going to get the Stanley Fat Max because those are my favorites. I love the 25s. Stay away from the 30s unless you need it for like specialized work, like you're an estimator or something. Because they often, well, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to put the 30 in the same case as the 25, and it seemed like it wouldn't want to go back in after it got dirty. So the 25 is really the sweet spot. This has an amazing standout, meaning that if you need to measure something by yourself, this will go all the way out, this DeWalt, to, it broke at 12 feet. So that was 2 feet further than the Stanley. The thing that I really love about this tape measure is it's got the way that it's laid out. If you look here and see, it's got the 16ths marked here for you. Because if you don't do this all the time, and you're counting those little hashes, or you're older and your eyesight's not really good, those things can be kind of tedious. So having them marked out for you on one side is really delightful. This is the best tape measure I've ever used. This is the DeWalt 25. If I could only have one, this is the one that I would get. Next off, you're going to want to get yourself this is a tool, a rasp or file called a 4-in-hand. This is a wonderful little tool. What you get here is 4 tools in one. You get a wood rasp that's flat. You get a wood rasp that's concave, or convex, and then you get a round file, convex file, and then a flat file. You can make axe handles with this. You can shape wood with this. You can have, if you have something that's got a metal bolt that's got a burr or something that's sharp on it that just needs rounded off, you can do about anything with this tool. The 4-in-hand is one of the most wonderful tools and essential that you should have in your toolbox. Small investment and just super, super handy. You're going to want a paintbrush. A paintbrush, if I could only have one, my very favorite one, the one that I go to for everything, for just an all-around now, is the Purdy Clear Cut. This is a 2.5-inch paintbrush, and you can, it's not going to hold a ton of paint. If you're slopping paint on, Tom Sawyer style, and you need to, paint lots of stuff or siding or fence with a brush, this is not the one you want. But if you're just doing repairs and you may need to be cutting in next to a window or doing some detail work for an all-arounder, this is really a great paintbrush. The Purdy Clear Cut in the nylon. Don't keep these little packages that they come in. They're really nice. They have a Velcro on them here, and you can fold them up, and they protect. You can throw them in your toolbox, and they'll protect it really well. So the Purdy Clear Cut in nylon polyester, that'll be rated for all paints, is a good all-arounder. Next, you're going to want a basic set of drill bits. Get yourself, buy quality, buy something that has a really nice box. I like the DeWalt boxes because they're well designed and they have a simple latch and they hold the bits very securely. What you're going to want is to go from a 1/16 of an inch to a 1/2 inch. That's a really good starter kit that you'll be able to drill anything. And make sure whatever bits you get, that you get the bits that will drill in not only wood but metal as well. An all-around kind of a universal drill bit. This will do pretty much anything you need to do around your apartment or home. Speaking of drill bits, I think that the most essential tool of the first power tool that I buy would be a cordless drill. Now you could make the argument about an impact wrench, a cordless impact wrench. Pretty nice to have both, but if I had one, I would choose the drill. It's more universal. If you need to hook on a stir stick for stirring drywall or paint, or you need to grasp bits, or it's just a lot more versatile. What brand? That I can't tell you, but I can tell you this: pick one brand and stick with it and buy quality. Whether that be DeWalt or Makita or Milwaukee. What I've tended to do in the past is let's say I needed a tool and I go to Home Depot and I have I'll just buy what's on sale. Well, what I've ended up doing is now I've got 4 battery chargers with 4 different batteries, and it is horrible. So you don't save money in the long run by buying something that is $20 or $30 less than the competition. Decide what it is that you want for tools and stick with that brand, and make sure that the batteries go across all platforms. What I like about these, I'm switching over to all the DeWalt FlexVolts, is that I can run small batteries, I can run big batteries. I don't have to, and if I want to buy an additional tool, I don't have to spend the money on extra chargers. I mean, if you buy one charger and you've got a couple batteries with it, you can buy now just the bare tool and you don't have to spend the extra money. And then you can also change the batteries back and forth. If I need something lightweight and I'm doing drywall work, I can use the small battery that came with it. If I want to have something that's going to be a little bit more robust, or I'm going to take the drill away from the home where I need it to run for a long time, I can put one of these giant batteries on there, these 20 volts. I can take this battery, I can run my chop saws, I can run my table saws, I can run my jigsaws, my sawzalls, all with the same battery. So make sure you just stick with one brand, whatever that's going to be. Make sure it's got a clip on it and a light. The light's very helpful, but the DeWalt FlexVolt system is what I'm going to be phasing out every other brand. Not necessarily because that's the best. I don't know what the best is, but they've treated me well, and I like their tools, and that's what I'm going with. The next tool you're going to want to get is an awl. My granddad always called it an ice pick, but what it is, it's basically just like a steel screwdriver with a point on it. This is very handy for lots of things, for making holes in things, for lining things up. If you need to get, trying to get a bolt in something, you can get that in there and line that up. You can scribe with it. You can, I can't even go into it. It's a tool that's probably in my hand once every week. I use it for so many things. I can't even list all of the things, but a good awl is great. If you want to start a screw in something, or you can even use it for a center punch. It's just a great universal tool. You're going to want to have an awl in your toolkit. Next is a crescent wrench. Again, by quality, this is a tool that will last you your whole life. S&K, the Husky brand, I've got a set of these. These have been just tough as nails. And the one you want is an 8-inch if you're just starting off. Now remember, if you're an apartment dweller or you're just getting started, the chances are you're going to be moving around a lot. So you don't want to be weighted down with a bunch of stuff. I mean, there's nothing worse than moving. So you want everything to be useful and small and as efficient as possible. And just a good all-arounder is the 8-inch size. I don't know, I prefer the ones that have that black nitrite coating on them. They just are just nicer to use than the chrome, and they seem to be less, I don't know why, I really prefer those. Given a chance, I always grab the black nitrites. They just feel better in the hand, they have better grip. But the 8-inch, and this Husky is a good one to go with right here. Next, you're going to want a level. You don't need to get into a big 4-foot level yet. Again, if you're just getting started, you want to start with a small level. Torpedo levels, I find that they're a little bit shorter than this. They have their place, but they're almost sometimes a little bit too short if you need to level long things. Let's say that you're going over and you're helping your buddy build a shed and you're doing studs, and you can plumb studs with this level. I've done it before, and it will work. This is an Empire. It's probably about 12 inches long, and I've really liked it. You want to look for one that's got a groove in it right there. The groove is really nice if you are laying it on something that's round. So let's say that you're doing a drain field or you're doing some drainage, you can use a level to predict the slope. 1/4 inch per foot is what you need for like a sewer line, for example. So let's say that you're doing a drain pipe or a French drain in your backyard and you have a 10-foot stick of ABS pipe. having that groove on there like that, that will nest right on there and give you an accurate reading. And you can actually, with this, if you can see that the bubbles, if this is a 1/4 inch in this 12 inches, that's perfect fall. So you can determine how you can determine fall with a level like this. It's got a magnet on it, so if you're working with steel, that's kind of handy. There is a downside sometimes to magnets, that when you put them in the toolbox, they will suck up screws and stuff, and you have to make sure that when you're using it, you have to always clear it. So I have kind of a love-hate relationship with the magnets, but I don't know that it would affect it too much, but I would definitely want that groove on there. So a good 12-inch level. You're going to want some oil for... how many things could we go into for that? Squeaky door hinges, things that won't move, things that just need lubricated. You know, we live in an industrial time with machinery and things that move, and they need to be taken care of and maintenance. And I typically default on which one has the best container that's the easiest to use. What I've ended up putting in my toolbox is just the little Hoe Peas. This is kind of marketed for guns. And being we want to have things that cover as much ground as possible. We can use this on your guns, and you can use this on your door hinge and all those things. But the little container's nice. The little Hoe Peas 9. It's never leaked on me. The lid's never come off. I mean, what's worse than having something like this come loose in your toolbox and puddle up in the bottom and make a huge mess? So this has been handy, and it's been kind of my go-to. This is the second one I bought, and that's my brand from now on. You're going to want a set of pliers, just regular standard pliers, and don't cheap out on these. Go ahead and get yourself a pair of Snap-on pliers. I know they're expensive, but again, this is a lifetime tool. Maybe a Knipex, or if you're really on a budget, you can go with the Crescent brand. You know, that's always a good brand as well and readily available. But this is something that is going to be the most used tool in your entire life. And if you're looking at having tools and using tools for the next 50 years, is it not worth it to get something that really functions well? Having Snap-on, having Knipex, there is a difference. The way that the steel is made, the way that they're cut, and when you have one chance to get that strip bolt off, you're going to forget that you saved 10 bucks on a cheap pair of pliers when it rounds off and you've got a big problem. So buy yourself a good set of standard slip joint pliers. Slip joint meaning that they kind of have two openings. You can see right there, there's an oval cut in there, and they slip. So if you need to grab something really big, you can do that. If you need to get something smaller, you can do that as well. Also, you want to look for your pliers that they've got those aggressive teeth inside. So if you need to grab something round, like a bolt or a small piece of pipe, and you can, even in a pinch, use these. They'll have good pliers will have wire cutters on the inside. They're not great wire cutters, but they're a whole lot better than no wire cutters. I'll guarantee you that. Next thing you're going to want a sanding block. This is just a standard 3M sanding block, and what you'll do is you want to get yourself a good assortment of sandpaper. 60 grit, 150 grit, and 220. So 3 grits of sandpaper will pretty much do you. If you go to your hardware store, you're going to see sandpaper is sold in sheets. I don't know if I have any here to show you. We've all seen them before. But these sandpaper blocks are designed to, you fold it over and you tear the sandpaper and you can get 2 or 3 strips out of there. How they work is they've got some teeth on the inside that once you cut your strip, you put that in there and you press that down, that bites into the block, and now you have a good sanding block that you can sand. And with those 3 grits, you can do lots of different things, and there's always something that needs sanding or repaired or fixed. So a good sanding block with the corresponding sandpaper. Next is a center punt or a nail set. This is designed to kind of work with a hammer. So if you have a small finish nail or something that needs to be recessed that's popping out, you can do that. You can use this as a drift because this is designed, unlike the awl is not designed to be hammered on. We've got a plastic handle there. I mean, you can get away with a little bit of it, but if you need to do something, if you really need to wail on something, you can see that this is all steel. This little DeWalt one's nice because it has a rubber handle on it, and I like the rubber handle for no other reason than it prevents it from slipping out of my tool belt, and easier to find because it's yellow. So this is nice. You can, if you need to take a door off, you can push the pins out, you can set nails, you can drift things, you could punch a hole in something, plastic or leather if you need to with this. So I would definitely include a nail set in the kit. Ooh, we're getting down to it. We don't have very much left. You want a utility knife. The very best utility knife I've ever used is the Orcon. These are marketed and designed for carpet layers. And I like these because they have a toolless design for changing the blades. You don't have to go and find it. You want to change the blade, you don't have to find a screwdriver. The little handle flips out there, and it's a wonderful, they're ergonomic and they don't rattle. That's my thing. It really bothers me to have tools that have rattly stuff in there. So I like these. The downside with having a fixed blade utility knife is that if you drop this into a toolbox and you're digging in your tools, you can cut yourself because the blade doesn't retract. So there's always trade-offs for everything. I just detest those rattly ones, and this is worth it to me because I keep it in my tool belt. It's got a pouch in there, and so I've never cut myself on it. But the Orcons are the absolute best ones I've ever used, and having that, the way the shape is and the way it fits the hand they're delightful. Well, there's only 2 things left. You're going to want a toilet plunger. I mean, this may not seem like may seem like a strange thing to add, but is there anything worse than having a clogged toilet? And how do you unclog a toilet without something like this? I mean, go ahead and break out your coat hanger. I've done that before in the past and have a good time with that. Yeah, it might work and it might not, but it's a disgusting job. A good toilet plunger is something you're definitely going to want to have in your kit because, I mean, it really can repair a very embarrassing situation, for sure. The last thing, and this was kind of controversial, but I decided to put it in because when I'm thinking about tools, which are the ones that I use all the time, is the little Mora, Swedish Mora scraper knife. This is something that I started using a couple of years ago, and it's found its way into my rotation and into my tool belt, and I almost can't live without it. What you have here is you've got a good chisel, and you've got a chisel, almost a blade, on the side right there. I keep this in my tool belt. It's even got a hard surface on there. I have whacked on this thing hard with my framing hammer when I needed to chop a small nail or I needed to punch something out. It has been awesome. I've used it for prying paint can lids off. I've used it for scraping paint or different things off of glass. I can't even tell you all the things in it, and it's got a really nice little sheath. I cut the little hook thing off there, and I just put that in a little pouch in my tool belt, and it is a great tool. This is one of my favorite tools that I've bought in the last 10 years is a little Mora chisel knife. Is that it? That's it. Okay, so this is number 1. Again, we're doing this in stages. This is where you start. So if you don't have a lot of money and you don't really know where to start, trust me, you can't go wrong with this. You can fix a myriad of problems. Oh, I know what it was. I forgot. There is one. There is one more. You want a little fastener, a little bag of fasteners. And the fasteners that you want to put together in your kit are going to be, you're going to want some 3-inch screws, some 3-inch deck screws. You're going to want 1 5/8". 1 5/8 gives you the ability to hook 2 3/4-inch pieces together. So if you are screwing down plywood into subfloor or into rafters or anything like that, the 1 5/8 will go through both layers and give you a good connection. So 3-inch and 1 5/8. You're also going to want to keep in your little tool pouch some 1 1/4 inch, and maybe, I think these are 1 1/4, some drywall screws for doing drywall repairs. You're going to want to have a little small set of nails, just a little galvanized nails for little repairs and little jobs. These are probably, I don't know what these are. They're not 16 penny, they're probably 8 penny nails or so. I'm going to have in here also anchors, some drywall anchors. I've been using these toggle anchors. I found these at Home Depot, and these have been really good. They hold a ton of weight. So if you need to hang something on drywall, for example, you can drill the hole and you push them through, and this little thing drops and pulls back, and they hold a lot of weight. So some good drywall anchors in various sizes, kind of a mismatch of whatever you are like putting together. Just have these little parachute bags, something like this. What I like about the parachute bag is you can't tip it over. It's got a flat bottom on it, so you can drop it, You've got all your hardware, all your screws with you. You can just grab this and you can grab your drill and you can grab your drill bits or your drivers and all that, and you can, if you don't know what you're going to need and you need to do a repair, you've got your anchors in there. So, and have this around. So whenever you see little loose bolts, or you buy something from IKEA and you got leftover things or leftover screws or fastener kits, just have a little pouch and put those in there and save them up. They'll save you from driving all the way to the hardware store for just little repairs and little jobs. So this is the best one I've ever found, is this little guy. It fits the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket. And it's good to go. Sorry about that, my camera timed out. But the 5-gallon bucket is a good way to go. Some people like those bucket buddy deals where it slips around the bucket and it gives you some pouches. Those are great too. They're very inexpensive and it's a grab and go. You can have your whole toolkit in one, grab one thing, and you can be the man. You can go over there and save the day. You might even find yourself a good woman. You might have a cute neighbor, the girl next door, that needs a little repair or a broken door or something, and you grab your 5-gallon bucket over there, and I'll tell you what, you'll be the minority, because a lot of young guys are not, just don't have these skills. They don't have any tools. They don't even know what to do. So set yourself aside, differentiate. I'm operating on 4 cylinders there. I'm still just suffering from this flu or whatever it is I have. But it doesn't take much in this day and age as a young guy to set yourself apart. I tell guys all the time, if you want to be outstanding and be promoted and rise up the ladder and be doing really well at your job and at work, all you need to do is to have a good attitude and to show up on time. And that's basically it. That is, as a person who has hired people and had employees all my life, I can't tell you how frustrating it is. I would take a guy that was not as bright, that was not as skilled, not as capable, that was reliable, the 2 things that I could trust and that would always show up on time when I needed him. I would take that guy over a guy with crazy skills that was unreliable or untrustworthy. So if you can do that, it'll distinguish you. That was the word I'm looking for, from pretty much everyone else. So that's it. That's I believe it was 20. Tomorrow we'll jump into phase 2. Once you get these acquired and maybe you get a little bit more money and you'll have a lot more capabilities. And then we'll go into stage 3. So this will be a 3-part series. So let me know in the comments if there's anything that I left out for the apartment dweller. Now remember, this is not a complete comprehensive kit. This is how you get started, and this is the best that I could think of. I racked my brain all yesterday and today thinking about this and writing lists. This is what I would recommend. So thanks for watching. Click the thumbs up if you enjoy these videos, and we'll see you guys on the next one.